Liphumile ilanga KwaZulu. Not only has the sun risen on the Zulu nation, but also on this majestic Moses Mabhida Stadium right here in KwaZulu-Natal, hosting a very, very important, significant event indeed, Bongiwe.
And umemezilo kandaba plane sasabela ke thina ke safika ke ngqo siwumsakazo womphakathi, and we are here of course to bring you this majestic event, this historic event. Sibona amabutho of course later on that we are waiting for. I mean, we always, you know, I always laugh when amabutho are on camera, because that's when everybody stops concentrating and we just focus on them, and people even forget that they are on air. You think about it in Ntombi, and it takes me back to Mkhosi Womhlanga Plain, where we saw Ntombi, and I was with Dr. Vilakazi on air at some point. She almost cried when she witnessed that moment, as really for her it was such a symbolic moment in history, and ucabanga ke namhlanje as to how that is all going to unfold before our eyes. And I'm sure even for our guest that we're introducing at this point, Ubaba Mhlakanipho Zulu, you know, who's a cultural expert, a veteran journalist, you know, someone who's a member of the royal household. I wonder, Baba, the visitor, for you, how does it feel like today? Because 14 Nanje, we already feel the magnitude of what is happening.
It's a sacred event. Umthandazo kubantu ukuthi ubuhle babo babone ngomfanekiso wabanye abantu. Uma ubona intombi ubona ikusasa, the future of the nation, and that gives you that. Uma ubona amabutho, it's very important in the history of the Zulu nation and other ukuthi it's not only that we're talking about the Zulu nation, but we're talking about a form of government, and the arms of government would have your army, would have your administration. So the Amabutho are a vital cog for the existence of the nation, because they safeguard the king, they safeguard the nation. And if there is a crisis, like you would call the army, and Amabutho would volunteer their services or their service to actually come and assist in that regard. So it's a beauty of the nation. It's like when you are in the army and you see an army parade. So it's at another level, but it is most important because it brings together the nation. It gives hope. It gives the purpose of living, that as a nation we are safe.
For those who might not understand the process and mechanism of how one gets into the regiments or Amabutho, just describe for us what it takes to become a member of that.
There is a certain age whereby, according to ages, you are chosen to represent a regiment that the king would say, I need to actually have a new regiment. And I think even at this point in time, surely in a few months, the King MisuZulu would have to actually come with a regiment. He may have as many as he would want to. Like when you go to the army, you would have the 1-to-1 battalion, you would have this and that. It all varies with the age. So that's how important it is. If he doesn't do that, his reign would be in vain. So he needs to actually have a regiment. It may not necessarily be one or two. For instance, when King Goodwill ascended the throne, the first regiment he picked was Inala, and I was young at that point. I could not qualify as Inala, but the next regiments he actually picked. One would actually qualify. And it's a very interesting process because it tests your strength, it tests your resilience, because you have got to hold this bull, kill the bull with bare hands, which therefore means you're actually strong enough to defend the nation. So it's quite symbolic and very, very, very important. And I think the young king ascending the throne today would encourage young people, because it goes with a lot of advice how you should behave as part of the regiment. It may even go to an extent of even dealing with the whole social problems that are engulfing the nation, rape, violence and domestic violence and so forth, because it says to you, now that you belong here, you must be exemplary and you must lead. So it entails quite a lot of values.
Ngiyake ngizwe kuthiwa abantu akumele babone umhlane wesilo, so that's where the protective aspect comes from, I suppose.
It is very, very important, because as he moves, the regiment or the regiments are behind him. So you see him from the front, and at the back you see his regiments. I would remember a biblical story that Moses wanted to see God, because he had served him from the time he emancipated the Israelites in Egypt. But scripture tells us that God said, no, Moses, you can't see me, but you can just see me passing by my back. And I think this whole thing has got a meaning to it.
You know, let's just talk about the king today. Far from me to understand what goes on in the mind of a king. But I wonder where his mind is today. The passing of Isilo Samabandla Onke was met with a lot of sorrow, a lot of grief. Then in quick succession, he lost his mum, Queen Manpombi Dlamini Zulu. So on one hand, he's dealing with loss, but on the other, he's ascending to the throne. How does he reconcile with that?
I think he went through a difficult period, losing a father, losing a mother. But above all, that saw division amongst his own royal household. And that's where in the love of the nation manifests itself, because immediately there are people who took him and protected him and carried him, and who actually said, no, we know he is the future king. Now, one little story that I want to tell you. The king in 1972, after his coronation or installation, he visited Swaziland, and the king of Swaziland at the time was King Sobhuza, both king and head of state. So because the king was busy with other national affairs, so he entrusted his son to actually take care of the king. Now, we are told that as they were taking rounds, he saw Queen Matombi, and his eyes were glued to him magnetically. and then the brother was sort of uncomfortable with this, but at a certain phase he asked him, are you interested in my sister? And then the king said yes, but there was a demand. He actually told him about that. Umdanenkosi cannot just be the ordinary wife. He should assume the status of a great wife. Now that's where the whole issue of King MisuZulu come into play in terms of succession, because the Umdanenkosi was actually going to bear a king, because there was a directive. And I must tell you that that brought some uncomfortability within the royal nation. So there was sort of resentment of the late queen. But because the king was adamant that he wanted, he said, doesn't matter. And today, because of that demand, that King Sopuzo's daughter could not just be an ordinary person, she is a great wife. And that's the root of MisuZulu becoming king today.
And I suppose when you look at also the story unfolding, it's also the fact that she then comes in, she then is very instrumental in the preservation of culture and also ensuring that eminye imkhosi is also, you know, celebrated and a lot of events are marked. It also talks about the role that she then assumed to understand the critical part she needed to play in the Zulu nation.
In fact, she comes from a country, a kingdom, where cultural heritage is significant. Swazis, Amaswati, they are known for the preservation of culture, from Umkhosi Wenqwala, from Umkhosi, and so forth and so forth. Now, when she comes in, the king begins to establish his identity, as we were saying, the king, incoming king, must establish his own identity. And the king's identity was reviving cultural heritage of the Zulu nation.
Okay, stand by. We've got lots to talk about. We live from Mabhida Stadium. The certificate handover, presidential certificate handover to King MisuZulu, Singobile Zulu. Coming up, we told that the formal program will start at around 10 o'clock or so, but the build-up, important, context, important, perspective, important. Let's get you some perspective. Let's bring in Jade Poulter now. She's live for us in the stadium. Jade, what are you witnessing?
Coming to you live from Blue Lagoon, where the maidens are congregating ahead of the trek at 9 o'clock promptly to Mabhida Stadium. As you can see, the stadium is just behind us, and this is the fount where they will be congregating. Now, I do hear Amabuto on my far left-hand side, and they are also there. And as you would know, where the Amabuto go, that's where the maidens are, and that's where the king is. Now, we're expecting the king to make his way to the stadium a little bit later, but we have Ayanda Mhlongo watching those developments there. This particular group behind me is from Verulam. We're going to find out from them how they're feeling right now. It is a historic moment. Thank you so much for joining us. You're live on SABC News. Tell us, where are you from?
I'm from Pargates at Verulam.
How are you feeling today?
I'm very excited and I'm happy. Yeah. And well, I don't know. I'm excited to have that thing.
And tell me, what time did you arrive here? I was listening to some of the stories, and most of the girls arrived early hours of the morning.
We came here by 6:30. Thank you.
Well, enjoy it. Have a great time. Let's move on to this lady over here. You're looking absolutely beautiful. Tell us, how are you feeling right now? It is a historic day, and you know, just speaking to some of the maidens from the different branches across KwaZulu-Natal and in eThekwini, many are saying that they are feeling all kinds of emotions. They're overwhelmed.
I'm excited. I'm also overjoyed and overwhelmed, and I'm really excited too.
And this is a historical day, so tell us, what is going to be one of the memories that you are going to hold on for the rest of your life? I imagine you'll tell your children one day that you were at the forefront of this ceremony.
I'll be really happy, and I'll really be overjoyed to tell them that I was a virgin and I was here in.
How important is it for you to still be pure and to keep your virginity? What does it mean for you? In a world where things are changing so fast and vastly, most girls are no longer virgins, most are no longer preserving this part of their culture. What does it mean for you to still be pure?
I want to make my mother happy, and she's the only thing I have. So I want to make her proud of me. Yeah, that's why. That's the main reason I want to stay virgin. Yeah, I want to make my mother proud.
Well, I'll let you join your branch as they continue singing and move on to one of the maiden minders here. Thank you so much for speaking to us on SABC News. Just listening to her talk about her culture and the important part of it, holding on to being pure. Just as a maiden minder, how difficult is it for these young girls to hold on to it, especially in schools where bullying is rife because you want to hold on to your virginity?
It's very hard. It's very hard, especially for us. We get bullied in the community whereby they're telling us, these girls are no longer virgins. We are just pretending as if they are virgins. It's very hard for us, but we are trying to make something good out of them and to keep them busy from running on the road with boys and all.
Now, for those watching back at home, many are saying that this is an archaic way of looking at things, that young girls holding on to their virginity, even well into their 20s, 30s, and even later in life. But talk to us about the cultural practice and the importance of doing so.
As a Zulu girl, this is how we grow up. When we were growing up, we were raised like this to be a virgin. You are pure. Even if you get married, your husband will be proud because he is married a virgin. All those things. We are very proud of our girls, and we are happy. We have some of the parents here. This is very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Well, there you have one of the maiden minders talking to us. They are from the Verulam branch, and there's branches from all over KwaZulu-Natal and in eThekwini. I saw and I've spoken to some people on the ground that are saying there are 100 minibuses. If Nomhle can just pan to her right-hand side and show you that there are 100 minibuses as well as 120 buses that have arrived here at Blue Lagoon, and I still see them trickling in, like I said to you earlier, on Amabutho on the far left-hand side, and they are congregating that side. And where Amabutho are, that's where the maidens are. They move in unison, they move in sync, and there are different branches from all across KwaZulu-Natal that will be converging at this particular felt at Blue Lagoon, and they'll be making their way to Moses Mabhida Stadium, which is not too far from where I am now. It is pretty much a 3-minute walk to the stadium, and we are expecting that to happen at 9 o'clock promptly. The weather is absolutely beautiful, slightly windy here, but that has not deterred the thousands that have come out. Electrifying atmosphere that's currently taking place here on the ground as the singing continues. I'm going to walk out a shot and let you play out of that Nat sound.
The sights and sounds of the handover ceremony scheduled to take place at around 10 o'clock. The formal program kicks off. Jade Polter live for us there just outside the stadium. Beautiful, beautiful scenes indeed. We're expecting at around 48,000 people to attend. It's a first come, first served. Gates opened at 7 o'clock this morning, Bongi.
And I tell you what, Blaine, I'm sure a number of people who are watching from home are saying, "Niyadela nini senilapho and sidela ngempela ngekhululeka kumnandi kabi ke la sikhona kodwa asiyitolo so masibuye sikhulume futhi even more about omama ngoba omama nabo they play quite a critical role. I know we sometimes forget them and we sometimes even forget to even look at the role that they're playing and indima abayidlalayo when it comes to, you know, some of the support given to these maidens. Yeah. What are the conversations that are happening with them, because these are the future of the Amazulu nation, and we'll come back with that in just a moment.